and gentlemen. We're back from Tornado Purgatory once again, 91.7 The Edge, WSUW Whitewater. I'm just going to open up quick with that for those of you still listening out there. If you are in the towns of East Troy, McGuanago, even into Waukesha, Wales, southeastern Waukesha, Big Bend, Muskego, Wind Lake, take cover. You are still under severe thunderstorm warning / tornado warning in some areas. Please be safe. Gather your belongings. Make sure your phone's charged. Grab a flashlight with you, some snacks. Grab your friends and family that are with you, pets, things like that. Get to the most innermost part of your house without windows, far away from windows if you can. Put as many things in between you as possible, or get to your basement or storm cellar if you have one. The sky still looks kind of nasty out there, guys. Wouldn't you say so?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Tornado talk.
It was, tornado talk today.
Twister.
Twister talk. I like that.
That's
Twister
twisted,
talk.
Man.
That is pretty cool. But yeah, it looks like the storm is out of the way of us now. It's tracked a little further east than expected, so we're not getting absolutely pounded by rain and hail and cloud-to-ground lightning, tornadoes, things of that nature. But later tonight, just be safe because there are going to be more storms coming. There's more on the way where this came from. Could possibly be tornadic activity as well. It's not supposed to cool down truly until after midnight, so please stay safe if you have to go outside today. But anyways, welcome to Hawk Talk here on 91.7 The Edge, WSUW Whitewater. My name is Sam. You know me. You can't escape me. I was on last week's Thursday Hawk Talk, so we're a little bit of a mirror episode right now. Back to back. Here we are. Warhawk thought for this afternoon. We're going to stay away from tornadoes and severe weather, and we're going to talk about who is your favorite non-star player for your favorite team or teams growing up. And now non-stars would be anyone that's, we're trying to stay away from guys who have made an all-star team, made a Pro Bowl. If they've won awards, like just not an MVP or Cy Young or DPOY, OPOY, things like that, scoring titles, just non-star player, like a role player fascination. Let's start over here with Jalen today. Jalen, who is your favorite non-star player growing up?
I'll probably say he probably wasn't my favorite, but I loved watching him play. Most likely like Tony Campagna of the Cubs, little fast guy.
I remember that guy
because he wasn't the greatest, but I modeled a lot of my game after him because he was fast. So
Tony Campagna,
stupid fast.
2 years with the Cubs. Yes, he was. He had 54 stolen bases over 2 seasons.
Crazy.
As a Chicago Cub. Has one career home run between his 4 years in the big leagues.
Wow.
And it came with the Cubs in 2011. I remember Tony Campagna very well, actually. I thought he was going to be a pretty, halfway decent ball player. He just ended up being a worse version of Billy Hamilton. But, Tony Campagna, lightning fast, like you said. Let's go Nazir here.
Can I give you two?
You can give me two.
So there's one in basketball, and there's Sean Livingston. I don't know why. His mid-range is just beautiful. It's probably the best mid-range shot I've ever seen in my life.
Which Sean Livingston? Clippers or Warriors?
Warriors, Sean Livingston. I like the Clippers one, too. He was cool. On that one. I feel like he was a little bit more swift on the Warriors, though. I don't know why. They let him do his own thing on the Warriors kind of thing. But football one, I love Todd Gurley. I know he was a Pro Bowler, but wasted potential. I love him.
The funny thing is, Todd Gurley still hasn't even hit age 30 yet.
I know.
He's still not 30 years old.
He's crazy. He was so good.
And then it was kind of like an arthritis type thing with his knees.
Yeah, it sucks.
Just couldn't stay up on his feet at some points. It was just rough. And, has a year with the Falcons, tried to come back and just never worked out.
Loved him, man.
Loved it, too. Todd Gurley was he was outstanding at Georgia back in his heyday.
Yeah.
We take a look at Sean Livingston, though. Today I learned Sean Livingston played for the Bucks. Mm-hmm. There's a new immaculate grid answer.
Yeah.
Whenever I see Bucks, Warriors, Bucks, Clippers. Did start with the Clippers early on in his career and never had a season where he averaged above 10 points per game. Did have a most improved player finish in 2013-14 where he finished 12th and a Sixth Man of the Year finish in 15-16
he was nice.
Where he was 11th in the Sixth Man of the Year voting. Brendan, let's go to you.
I'm going to go with someone that you've probably never heard before. But
What team first? What team?
Memphis Grizzlies.
Memphis Grizzlies.
Late 2000s.
Yes.
Hamed Haddadi.
I know who that is.
Hamed Haddadi.
The 7'2" Iranian sensation himself.
7'2"
growing up, going to Grizzlies games, anytime Hamed Haddadi entered the game, the arena would just erupt, and you knew that the Grizzlies took care of business that night.
It's like the Nassus.
Still only only 38 years of age, Hamed Haddadi. Played for Memphis most of his career, but then had a short little stint in Phoenix. Never really, it's never anything great. Couple rebounds a game and playing 7-8 minutes. Just extreme role player.
Anytime he came in, man, the entire crowd was just electric. And my dad did see him at a Best Buy one day and shook his hand. Yeah, but the claim to fame there with Hamed Haddadi.
His per 36s aren't bad though. His per 36s, rookie year, 14 and a half a game, 16 in 2010-11.
Give him his minutes.
Give this guy his minutes, and he's going to be all right. Serviceable center behind Marcus All, nice option off the bench. Let's go Nick here. Nick.
So I got two. One, I don't know if you guys would know who this is. Sim Bular.
2K legend.
7'5", the first Indian descent NBA basketball player. Sacramento Kings averaged 0.7 points per game, 0.3 rebounds per game.
In 3 career games.
He did indeed.
He had a 99 overall card on 2K19, I believe.
He did.
Why in the heck would they give him a 99 overall card?
Hang homage.
Just
that's
due
true.
to
That's true.
The largeness of the individual.
Do they actually have a recording for his last name?
It's
on
Bular.
2K? Bular?
Yeah.
Did they actually use it in game, or was it
Probably
just
not at
they just go
2019.
Sim and then not
They
say
probably
anything
be-
after?
The legend.
Number 15.
Why won't they say his last name?
Well, so over the off seasons, the guys that like Kevin Harlan, Brian Anderson are now the play-by-play guys for 2K, and over the off seasons they will sit at a recording booth and record every single player name in multiple contexts for every player in 2K.
Yeah.
And if Simbular was not part of that list of guys or list of phrases to use during that recording period, he's not going to have a last name recording or just a name recording period. So it happens in especially MLB The Show when roster updates come in and Boog Shambi is not going to go back to his recording studio mid-baseball season to record just random name here, Wade McGilvery, MLB 2K13 auto-created legend, right, by the way, Wade McGilvery. But no one's going to go back and re-record that fake name, either A, because he doesn't exist, or B, he's so new and it's just not worth their time, right? Yeah. Obviously, if it's a guy like Ellie De La Cruz, got his name recorded, right? But that's also because Brian De La Cruz is already in the league, so they already had a De La Cruz option. So I was just curious about that. But yeah, Simbular, only 3 games played. Man.
He was an animal.
Hey, you ever see Kings and only one team on the Immaculate Grid? I know who to go for now. It's Simbular.
Bang.
You're not wrong, but real quick, the last one was John Kuhn. Everyone should know.
Love John Kuhn.
Yeah.
Love John Kuhn. Love
Dude,
that guy.
That stadium would be rocking for him. But yeah, he never really did too much other than punch it in, but he had some big time moments.
Some great blocks every now and then.
For Green Bay.
The
So.
epitome of a good
I think he was the fullback before the fullback position became popular.
Before
with
Juszczyk.
Juszczyk and
Yeah,
What-
he kind of led the charge. Him and like Marcel Reese
Mike
back in the
Allstott.
day. Mike
Wow.
Allstott. Yep.
Mike
Loved Mike
Tolbert.
Allstott. Yeah, you guys remember seeing my Mike Tolbert highlight reel that I'll put in the chat every once in a while? I'm going to have to resend it tonight right after the show, but I found a TikTok video that has, I forgot what the song's called, but Alfonso Ribeiro, when he was playing in Fresh Prince, always did the Charleston to it. Forget what the song's called now, but it was that song over Mike Tolbert highlights.
wow.
So, and both Panthers and Chargers Mike Tolbert, by the way.
He was
My guy, my favorite non-star has got to be Mark Reynolds, former first and third baseman, the pride of Pikeville, Kentucky. Originally a Diamondbacks player, never had an All-Star appearance, but he deserved one. 2009 All-Star snub, 44 homers, 892 OPS, and only finished 20th in MVP voting. And that was during like the very early stages of the good Diamondbacks, where Paul Goldschmidt was just coming into the league. Chris Young, Justin Upton, that was the tail end of Brandon Webb. Like, they just didn't have any pitching. That was the only thing that was keeping them from getting to the playoffs. And then as soon as they got the pitching, the Brewers blew them out of the water, and then they kind of went to shambles for about 5 years. But Mark Reynolds, he also led the MLB in strikeouts 3 times and led the National League a 4th time. Or the American League, excuse me. He went to Baltimore and led the American League in strikeouts.
Guardians legend.
Mark Reynolds, yeah, Brewers legend as well. Brewers legend. He was a full-time starter for the Brewers and had 22 home runs in 130 games while hitting 196.
Nice.
So Yeah, and that was during the dark ages of Brewers' recent history in Brewers baseball. 2014, man. What you know about Caleb Gindel? But
Nothing.
Exactly my point. So, but Mark Reynolds, I actually had a Diamondbacks jersey back in the day. It was an Eric Burns jersey, but I had asked for a Mark Reynolds one. I think my dad found it was either my dad found it or someone found one for me. It was Eric Burns, but I just pretended it was a Mark Reynolds jersey growing up, and I would watch every time the Brewers played the Diamondbacks or if the Orioles happened to play the Brewers. I would throw that jersey on and just start cheering for Mark Reynolds. And then he came to the Brewers. He mashed for a little bit, hit some tanks. But that's my favorite non-star player. Let's get into our first topic of the evening here, and this one has to do with the Warhawks women's basketball team. We'll call this the Women's Basketball Masterclass because the number 1 seed Warhawks defeated both Minnesota Morris and Milliken this past weekend in the first 2 rounds of the NCAA Division III Women's Basketball Tournament, which now allows us to host yet another game this coming Friday against Hope College. They come to visit us here at Catchell Gymnasium. I'm pretty sure it's going to be me and Chris Pittner on the call for that one, but we'll figure that out probably after the show today. Let's recap the first 2 rounds of action. So, first things first, how did we get a home game? How do we even get a home game in the first round? We were treading on thin ice going into the conference tournament and then lost right away to Stout, who if we win and Stout wins their next game, we play each other in the semifinals.
In Whitewater.
That would be crazy.
In Whitewater,
Elite Eight.
that would be the technical Elite 8, yes.
Understood.
So not
awesome.
only were we blessed with a 1 seed, but also hosting the first 2 rounds. And now we get to host a 3rd game against Hope College. And remember, Hope was the team that defeated us in the national championship back in 2021-22 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's where it was that year during Whitewater's big run. But let's just take a look at these first 2 games. Let's look at the first one, first things first. 86-47, a 32-8 second quarter by the Warhawks over top of Minnesota Morris. And Morris, Maddie Grove, their leading scorer, held to just 12 points. I think she only had 2 in the entire first half, and it was the 4th quarter where the Jets really started to turn on for Maddie Grove. Anyone want to take it from here?
Crazy thing is Maggie Troush ain't even play.
Exact. Did she end up playing the second game?
No, she still got that high
warmed up.
ankle sprain still, she told me.
Man, so they're doing this all without a key contributor. And what I like about this team, just looking at their box score from this first game, I mean, you have one 20-point scorer in Aaliyah Grandal. There's 3 other scorers in double digits, so that's simply because you scored 86 in a 10-minute quarters game. I thought they were going to hit 100.
They
I
should've.
honestly thought that. We called it on the we said it on the broadcast. I was talking to Chris. I was like, do you believe in mirror? Like going in the second half, we're talking about, what could happen this game because we watched Willamette in the first game against Milliken, the neutral site game right before it. After being down 25, Jalen, me and you were watching that game together. Mm-hmm. They nearly came back.
Yeah, that's why I was
in the
like...
4th quarter, they were down 5 at one point after being down 25 midway through the 3rd.
That's why I was looking at Milliken I don't think they would even want to face us right now because
After that,
they just almost blew that game. And for them to come in and... They were at one point losing by 40.
Yeah,
So
one thing I saw, they're in Carroll's conference, so Carroll beat them twice by 8 or 9 or something like that, and we beat Carroll by 14. And I don't know, I remember watching that Carroll game. It wasn't very impressive by Carroll, but I just kind of put 2 and 2 together, and I was thinking maybe Milliken would put up a fight like Carroll did, but at the end of the day, it was just really bad. And shout out to Knutson though. She's or Knutson, whatever her last name
exactly
is.
the way I saw them playing the first game, I was like, "There's no way they're going to lose this regional
Knutson
this weekend. It's not happening."
A great player. Her mid-range shot was unbelievable. It was just pure butter.
And going into the second half of that game against Milliken, the Warhawks were up. That's 9. That's 12. They're up 21 points going into the second half of that one. I mean, at that point, it's pretty much game over. But Milliken, what I was afraid of with Milliken is that they were just playing with breakneck speed, especially on offense. They were so quick, 7 seconds
fast.
type offensive style. And yes, Elise Knudsen, the best scorer in Division III basketball, took 34 shots though.
Just
in
That's
that
the
game.
reason they
30
lost.
points. Yeah,
That's the reason
that's
they
not
lost,
impressive.
though.
They played great defense. There's not much to say. They forced 7 turnovers from her as well.
Yeah, she was held to just 10 in the first half, and she averaged 26 a game.
I'm not
Those
gonna
points
lie.
came in
No.
garbage time.
I heard that they didn't even have a game plan for her. They knew she was going to be automatic, so they were just going to let her shoot the lights out.
It's like a Damian Lillard on the Blazers mentality.
Yeah, it's literally what it
It's
is.
that you know what you have with this person. Just for lack of a better term, let them cook.
Yeah, Corrallo said at the press conference that they didn't really have a game plan for her because she's too unstoppable. So they just
Stop everybody else.
stop everybody else, and that's
Which they
exactly what they did. No,
And-
everyone else had a horrible game, especially
They turned the
but
ball over so much.
In
bro.
reality, though, I know she scored 30 points, but they stopped her. I mean,
Yeah, they
12,
stopped her
12 for
sometimes,
34,
yeah.
12 for 34 on
It's like
7
the
turnovers.
fourth quarter was
similar to a
rough.
James Harden line, except way less free throws. Only
Yeah.
3 of 3 from the free throw stripe. 3 of 9 from 3. Still 33% shooting from beyond the arc. It's respectable, but 12 of 34. I mean, that's just ISO ball at that point. Just give her the ball and let her do her thing.
Yep.
And if it doesn't work, you're screwed.
Exactly.
But then on the other hand, let's talk about the Whitewater women. 9 for 14 for 27 points.
yeah, it was rough.
Casey Corral, yes, the first triple-double in
Quadruple.
program history.
Quadruple.
Technically quadruple if you count the
10
turnovers.
yeah,
10
yeah.
turnovers.
If you count the turnovers, there's a quadruple-double. But let's stay away from that.
Yeah, we keep the
Focus
bad
on the
And
things.
main
focus on the main 3 that gets the triple-double. This is the first time this has ever happened in program history. 27 points, 13 rebounds, 12 of them on defense, 10 assists as well. And I mean, one player I wish that we'd see more of out on the floor a little bit is Katie Hildebrandt.
I agree.
Katie Hildebrandt, they don't really work into the offense enough. She's deadly in the post.
She got a bag on her too.
She's
She
got the
she can
height.
move a little bit.
She
has
has the
the
height
height.
Elite
mismatch.
footwork.
Well-
Down low, great footwork. And then, like you said, Nazir,
fast,
she's
yeah.
got the bag.
Yeah, she's fast. She has handles. She can shoot the mid range. She can shoot off top of the key.
Well, she's got one of those. She's got one of those short mid frames with long
Right.
legs and
Exactly.
long arms. So she's
Exactly.
down there in the paint with the type of footwork that she uses down there. Where she does that little turnaround. It's not quite the dream shake,
Right.
but she gets one. She does a fake, goes up with the right, and it's unstoppable.
But-
And she hits her free throws,
But
What I-
it's
what I-
kind of like that. She kind of really wasn't really needed these
Yep.
2 games though,
which
what
is
I-
good though.
which is good to say actually.
What I've noticed about her when she goes to the top of the key, she'll either shoot it or she'll make a few moves and drive to the right and just easy and one, easy and one.
And it's easy. And that's what the height disadvantage comes in for the other team. There's nothing they can do to stop that.
Exactly.
And then if she's backing down on the post, I was seeing in game 1, and going back to game 1 here, she only played 11 minutes. She only played 11 minutes and was right away in the game. I don't think she touched the floor in the second half.
didn't
Now,
have to.
that partially has to do with the fact that she didn't have to. When you look at minutes leaders from this game, Cameron Nees was off the bench and played 23 minutes. That was the most on the
Crazy.
team. Mia Gillis was tied for third in minutes with Aaliyah Grundall.
You know, she's a
with
freshman.
19.
Mia
Mia
Gillis
Gillis is a
is good.
freshman.
She's good, though.
And she's very good too. She's got the stroke from mid range, short corner.
She's good. I noticed that a lot last game.
And pretty good defense as well too. Not a big turnover issue with her either. It's a good, valuable asset off the bench. Going back to Hildebrandt here, I think having someone like Katie Hildebrandt with the bag that she's got makes this team so much more dangerous.
I agree.
And I'd argue that this team might be better than the team that lost the national championship.
Yes.
When they're at full strength,
That's
Maggie Troush in the lineup,
That's hard to
when
say,
they're
but
at
yeah,
full
it's true.
strength, because you think about it this way, Renee Rittmeyer's been a terrific six-man off the
crazy
bench.
too, yeah.
Exactly. Bree McCurdy's a defensive menace.
Yep.
That's what you need her out there for, just to
I
set the
love
tone
her. I love the way
defensively.
she plays. She's
Casey
a freshman
Corallo
as well.
plays hard, terrific shooter. We just saw her drop a triple-double. Aaliyah
hustle
Grundall,
is
there's
insane.
not much more needs to be said.
Right.
We just talked about Katie Hildebrandt, and when Maggie Troush is cooking, it's like Klay Thompson out there.
Yeah, she's a 3-and-D
She's like a
player.
microwave. As
Yeah.
soon as she starts getting hot, you can't cool her off.
Yeah.
So this team, I think they're with how deep their bench is too. I mean, London Alexander only played 13 minutes
I
in
was
the
gonna
last
say
game.
She's a defensive-
She's underrated.
Exact-
Like, completely
yes.
underrated at defense. It's unbelievable.
Very,
She was
very.
locking up Knudsen for a little bit.
And the numbers might not show it, but London Alexander is a stalwart on defense.
yeah, she's crazy.
Defensive menace.
I mean,
Exactly.
She averages five and a half, and 3 though. Like that's pretty sustained. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like she's out there playing and locking down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So, she's
and she
great.
she doesn't need to be the lead scorer on the team either. I think she fits that role perfectly.
Her impact isn't measured in statistics.
Exactly,
Yeah.
it's an
So
intangible here.
she's
You can't
electric out
quantify
there.
it.
And we don't do plus minus, unfortunately. So.
But we have to look at.
They do on live stats though. If you
Do
look at the
they?
live
Yeah,
stats, they
she
do
had
do
like a
plus minus.
Like, she had like a plus 12.
I
or
don't
something.
doubt that.
In that first game, there was not a single player on the Warhawks team
Yeah.
that was minus.
That's crazy.
And there was not a single player on Minnesota Morris that was plus.
That's crazy.
Well, they're riding the high. Coming
gotta
into
look
this
at-
weekend.
So we have to take obsession that the loss to Oshkosh and Stout was like a wake up call for them.
it has to be.
Like,
And look, yeah, and lacrosse.
because they weren't playing like this. Like this.
Maybe not as much of a wake up call, I'd say, but more of just a hard look in the mirror,
Yeah, like,
saying
hey,
like,
It's time.
what exactly are we doing right
Yeah,
now?
like, what are we here for?
Like, it's
Exactly.
tournament time
I don't
right
know
now.
what Carey told them after that loss to Stout, but these last 2 games they've looked like a completely different team.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Take down
when
2
you look
conference
at-
champions or 1 conference champion and a runner up in Milliken.
when you look at that Stout game in the WEAC tournament, it was nothing close to what we just saw these past 2 games
No,
at all.
absolutely.
I will say though, if we
So-
play them again, it's going to be very tough.
That is going to
Play
be
them
probably one of the more
I'm
entertaining
going to say
games
Stout is going to be in trouble.
of the entire season.
I don't know about trouble, man. I really.
I
that's-
think they'll be in
that's
trouble,
a tough
bro.
matchup. That's
I
a
ain't
tough
gonna lie.
matchup.
If
We split with them this
if
year.
we
so,
see Stout again, Stout's got to go through Transylvania though,
Right.
Which is the tough part because Transylvania was undefeated last year, won the whole thing, and now they're back as the 2 seed on this side of the bracket. So this is a very tough region, I'd say. Probably you can make the case that this is the toughest region in the Division III bracket.
Oshkosh got it easy
I would happen to agree with that.
a little bit.
Smith ain't. What they got Smith over there?
Yeah, I think so.
Smith's not bad at all.
They're not
They
bad.
they play Smith actually.
Smith is not bad at all.
At 4:00 on Friday, they play Smith. But yeah, they really didn't have much competition on their side of the bracket. I think they were like the 5 seed. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think they're the 5 on that side or the 4 maybe. But no, they should be the 3. That should be the
should be
3.
the 3.
Yes. So 3 seed on that side of the bracket had to go against Webster, and that's a team that the Warhawks played last year in the tournament. Fairly easy matchup. Again, they kind of ride off of 1 or 2 scores, and if they're on an off night, it's game over. They only scored 42 points. Yes, Oshkosh has terrific defense, but Webster, not the biggest opponent on the planet. Same with Trine University going up against Gustavus Adolphus. They only won by 3.
Didn't Trine upset somebody?
Gustavus.
Yeah,
Gustavus was the
yeah.
upset, and Gustavus is pretty dang good.
Yeah.
We faced them last year too.
They were
That was a
tough
tough
last year.
matchup
They
last
were
year in the
tough
second
last
round.
year.
Did we win that? I think we won that.
Yeah, we
did,
won that
we
We
did.
one.
won by like 3 or something like that. 5 maybe.
Yes.
But no, I do agree with you on if they play Stout again, Stout's in trouble.
No, they're going to be in
And the
trouble.
only reason why I'm saying that is because you got to look into like the intangibles about what happened in that Stout game. The Lady Warhawks shot the worst 3-point percentage they did the entire year in that game. 7 for
Off night.
What?
Just an off night.
happens.
7 for 32 from 3.
Just
Are
under
you- I mean,
25%.
20 for 67 from the floor.
We're talking about the conference tournament loss, correct?
We're talking about the
Correct.
conference tournament loss.
Correct.
And it was only a 10-point loss, let alone they gave up. They had 4 out of 5 starters for Stout in double figures. That's not happening again.
I
I'm
agree.
sorry, that's
I
not
agree.
happening.
I completely
That is not
agree with
happening
that.
again. And then you look at the box score for the Warhawks. I mean, obviously we had Renee Rittmeyer. She played 30 minutes. Wasn't there something going on with Bree McCurdy that game?
Yeah, McCurdy only played 15 minutes despite starting. I think there was probably an injury involved.
Some sort of injury. I heard about it. I
And then
didn't get
Casey
too
Crowell
deep.
going 4 of 17. I mean, that just doesn't happen.
Like I said, it was
Yes.
just a really bad
given
shooting
day.
night. You know
Still
what I mean?
only lost by 10, really. And then
They
and
had
then
a chance to win the game.
second
too.
quarter, third quarter, you turn things around. Tied in the second, won the third by 6. And then the fourth quarter, just things fell off the rails.
I guarantee you, somebody said, "Hey,
If they
it's
can-
time now."
If they can play past that zone, that's what teams do to stop this team. They play that hardcore zone. That's what Oshkosh did.
And that's what Morris tried to do against us, too. It's just we were so much
But
quicker.
they tried it so late though.
Exactly.
They were doing like press.
They were playing press zone, and they were also doing so like.
And that's when it started to work too.
Right.
Morris won
Yeah.
that fourth quarter, 15 to 13.
I agree. Yeah.
But you got to look, like I said, you just got to look into how games were going, like especially from 3-point against Stout. They went 0 for 6 in the fourth quarter and lost by 10.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I honestly that would be a team I wouldn't be as worried about. But for
I'm gonna say this.
I'm excited to see how they can play against Hope this weekend.
I'm gonna say this:
win or lose.
all 3 games. Well, obviously you got the first 2, and then you're gonna have all 3 games would be something to watch
And are winnable.
and are winnable.
They are.
Winnable.
Absolutely.
Very winnable.
Let's not forget that.
I would like to. I mean, I might actually go watch that Stout Transylvania game.
I'll be there.
I'm like, I'm getting a little tempted. I'm not gonna lie to you.
So now let's take a look forward at the next matchup here between Hope and Whitewater. It's back here at Catchell Gymnasium, 7:30 this Friday night. You can catch all the action live here on 91.7 The Edge. Take a look at the national championship game, and it was really the second half because we were tied after first half, and then Hope just ran away with things in the second out in Pittsburgh. I mean, Hope had 4 scorers in double digits: Rebecca Schumacher, Joanna Taylor, and when you take a look at the current roster, they're really, or Joanna Taylor Schumacher with us. Let's take a look at their team. Sorry about that. Sydney Muller, Olivia Voskuhl, and you look at the team this year, those top 2 scorers aren't there anymore. And you look at the rest of their statistics, they only have 2 scorers in double figures this season, Hope does. And defensively speaking, like let's take a look. Turnovers, they don't have a turnover issue. When you take a look at defense, they do have Raven Jameson, who's got 41 blocks this year. It's quite a large amount. 53 steals out of Sydney Weiss as well, 41 from Keegan Kaiser. I mean, the team rides off defense.
Right. Very much so.
And you look at their 2 first-round matchups. First game against Ripon was super low scoring, 65-54. Hope against DePaul was 70-55. And then getting back into their schedule here, let me pull it up for just a second. Yeah, they're not the most potent team offensively.
Well, that's why I said that, we're going to have to figure out the zone, because if we can figure out how to beat that zone, we can play against a man-to-man team. Like we destroyed Milliken when they were doing that, and they didn't switch to a zone all game. So if we could figure that out and just play our best game, we can get that game easy.
And that's the best point, too, I think, because this Hope team, they average 19.8 points per game, points off turnovers.
Exactly.
To 10 for their opponent.
Points. Yeah.
So if you're practically doubling your opponent in fast break points, oh my God, dude, you're running and you're getting scored on. You know how demoralizing that is? You're running all night long.
Get some stamina on that team, apparently.
And
it seems like
their conference, the MIA, is not very strong. So they're not coming from a very strong conference. Yes, they're still a good team. They're very stout defensively. But they have a couple high-scoring games this year against Lehman College and Kalamazoo College. They went 93 and 109, respectively. But other than that, I mean, the MIA tournament, they beat Albion. They didn't win their conference. They lost to Trine 63-59. Trine's out of the tournament now. But you look at some of their games from earlier this year, they did beat Milliken.
They blew Platteville out.
They blew Platteville out, and they did beat Trine earlier in the season. So this team is battle-tested.
No, they can play.
They proved it in the first 2 rounds as well. DePaul, they won by 15 points. I mean,
double OT against Alma College.
Exactly. So
I'm gonna say
I don't think they're ready to face a team like us.
if Whitewater runs through this region like they did last week, they're gonna win a chip.
I agree with
It's that simple. They're gonna win a chip. If they run through this regional like they did last week, these probably gonna be the 2 toughest games of the entire tournament.
Oh, agreed.
This will be.
So if they run through this regional like they just did this past weekend, they're gonna win a chip.
You guys
That's
do
the
have to
playoffs,
understand, though, how similar statistically Hope and Whitewater are, though.
Yep.
As a team.
They're very
statistically.
similar.
All
Yes.
around, they're
Hope
very.
actually does average more points a game. They're sitting around a little bit over 75
Yeah,
points
they were
a
blowing
game.
teams out the water earlier in the year, like 100 to like 50.
Exactly. And we're sitting at 71 even. But what I like to see, so I was talking to you guys about the let's see, where was I at? I was at a turnover. We didn't even talk about turnovers. That's still been a problem for Whitewater, by the way.
Like what? How many turns did we
I
have?
mean, we're
We had a lot
averaging
less.
15.1 a game.
No, last game we had the same amount as Milliken.
I mean, we
I'm
had a
pretty
player
sure.
that had 10. So
We had 25 total.
that's something to keep in mind going forward. But yes, Jalen, I agree with you guys that this region is probably the toughest. The real test comes against Transylvania on Saturday night, assuming we are to win. That
Transylvania already got a test with Stout though.
exactly. So this
That'd be a fun.
whoever of the three makes it out of this region will be the most battle tested, and will probably be the team that ends up winning it all.
And
barring
hopefully the
Oshkosh
healthiest.
makes it to the championship. Yes, healthiest would be
let's-
especially important. I think if Maggie Trouch plays this week, it gives us a little more of an upper edge.
That's a healthy team right there.
That's it, and
the
that's a
rotation
very
will go back to
deep
normal.
team.
They haven't
too.
lost a game fully healthy all year.
Very deep team as well.
The rotation will go back to normal, and then things will just come back into place at the right time. So
Oh, and by the way, I mentioned. I just touched the mic. I mentioned points off turnovers for Hope. Whitewater does average 21.8 points per game off turnovers.
yeah, I mean,
Crollo and leading the fast break.
They could.
That's good. That's
very
very good.
I think good's an
That's-
understatement
that's
there.
top
Yes.
Elite.
That's borderline elite with some of the best in college basketball.
Yep.
Once again, you can catch this game here on 91.7 The Edge this Friday, March 8th at 7:30 p.m. tip-off. Be sure to stick around that night. We'll be covering that game the whole time, and assuming we are to win, we'll probably be back on the air Saturday, assuming we get the staff available to do it. So make sure to tune into The Edge this weekend if you want to keep up with the basketball team. Going forward, the sectional round this weekend, the Sweet 16 in layman's terms, and can be found all here on 91.7 The Edge. Let's move on to our next topic. Women's basketball. Oh, sorry. Read the wrong one.
Actually,
Look at
that's
that.
perfect because we do have some breaking news.
Ooh.
According to Adrian Wojnarowski, obviously everyone's familiar with the Russell Westbrook injury that had occurred last week. He is out indefinitely until the playoffs.
What is the injury?
Fractured left hand.
Not good for the Clippers, and Nick, you're
Just
being
thought
a
I'd put that
Clippers
out.
I
fan.
think they'll be okay though. I ain't gonna
I think
lie.
they'll be fine.
They'll be
I think,
fine. They have
but
He's just been their
man.
sixth man.
just wanted to put that out there, and we also
Norman
we
Powell's
also
still on the bench with them.
Norman
They're
Powell,
still
bro.
deep.
He probably could come back earlier, but they probably ain't no risk.
Nah,
they already gonna be in the
I wouldn't risk
playoffs.
it.
They wouldn't risk it. Just get ready for playoffs.
Kelly Olynyk also did get paid earlier. We forgot to
go.
mention Toronto Raptors 2 years,
Yeah,
$26.2 million a year.
W. Kelly.
And more basketball news: Giannis with an apparent, not Achilles tear, but an
No.
Achilles
Strain.
yeah,
Yeah.
just kind of bugging him. He will be out tonight and will not be suiting up versus the Clippers.
He probably won't be back for like
Oh
another
my
week or
God,
two.
dude. I know. I don't like that because you know who had that same injury? Trey Greenlaw.
But that
Yes,
was-
but it
They
wasn't.
better not let him get back too quick
no,
on that. Then.
it wasn't, and it wasn't the whole pop that we've seen with Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, who we'll talk about later, and Dre Greenlaw in the Super Bowl. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like Stephen Tulloch,
Yeah, he
who
just
on that
warmed
sack
up.
celebration just collapsed to the ground. It's just a little tweak, and yes, it's much better to be safe than sorry with an injury like that. You don't want to have to try and permanently reconstruct it through surgery, because he'll be out probably. Could be a full calendar year if rehab doesn't go right.
Yeah.
So
There's only 20 games left in the regular season, so
There's no point in
exactly,
trying.
don't
Okay.
rush him back.
No
Get your
need.
playoff spot.
need.
Let him come back when he's fully ready to go, and then be ready to go win a few playoff series.
yeah, and let Dame do his thing with Pat Bev.
Exactly. We're going to move on to our actual next topic. It's not women's basketball. It's the NFL Combine.
Let's go.
The Combine just occurred this past weekend, and some guys completely changed their draft trajectories just from this weekend, whether they performed well or not. So the first, obviously, the elephant in the room is Xavier Worthy. And I just want to get your guys' thoughts on Xavier Worthy here, because I got a couple other guys that I want to kind of mention before we move on to our final topic of the day. I'd say we got probably about 10 minutes here on this topic, maybe less. So Xavier Worthy, the 4.21, for a guy who wasn't projected to go anywhere earlier than day 3, is probably a mid-day 2 pick now.
Easily.
Just from this run.
Yep.
I mean, we saw with John Ross and the Bengals.
Yep.
Back in the day. He runs the 4.22, breaks the record. The Bengals take him in the first round.
That's insane.
Right?
Probably be a
And
second
John Ross
rounder.
probably wouldn't have been he probably would have been a late day 2 pick
Yeah.
prior to that.
Well, and he
But-
played like one. When he
Exactly.
was in
And
the
as
league.
soon
Couldn't
as you
catch the
prove
ball.
the speed is there, the draft stock goes up. forget everything that happened with catching and things like that. He wasn't bad the rest of the combine. He was actually pretty dang good.
Yeah.
And then the 4.21 comes in as official 4.21. This guy's probably going, I'd maybe even say late day one to a team like the Chiefs.
The Chiefs,
They just
hope
cut
not.
MVS.
I hope.
I
It
originally
only
I
makes sense.
Well, he
I
did have
originally-
that 41-inch vertical too,
Yeah,
which
now
is
that
fourth
might-
among
Exactly.
receivers. I mean, that's
Same
pretty
combine.
impressive.
Exactly.
I originally had the Chiefs taking Adonai Mitchell from Texas, but I've switched that pick now with Xavier Worthy. I think he fits their offense tremendously. And
And it's not to say that Adonai Mitchell had a bad combine either. He was pretty good.
It just 4.21. Team
Just
like
that
the
they need a
Chiefs.
speed threat. The Chiefs did.
So the Chiefs.
Yeah, and they got rid of the only one they had that wasn't doing anything, unfortunately.
And I know it just proves just how insane, Worthy had with a combine. And unlike John Ross, he actually doesn't have bricks for hands and can actually make some decent plays. He'll be a tremendous addition to a contending team in the late first.
I don't agree with that.
Adonai Mitchell had the sixth fastest 40 time among all players, 4.34. And out of wide receivers, he was third behind Brian Thomas Jr., who's expected to go first, second, or third. And Xavier Worthy obviously breaking it with the 4.21. Nate Wiggins had the 4.28. That was second. So we take a look at other receivers here with the 10-yard split. I mean, Adonai Mitchell was a little bit lower at 1.52. He was tied for fourth with a bunch of other players as well. Xavier Worthy led the 10-yard split as well. In terms of vertical, Xavier Worthy had the, out of all receivers, fourth highest at 41 inches. Malik Washington and Jalen Coker of Virginia and Holy Cross of all schools at 42.5. I think Jalen Coker might have just earned himself a draft selection as well with how his combine went. I mean, Xavier Worthy, phenomenal athleticism. All it comes down to is just
Can he
whether
play?
or not the numbers at the combine translate to what his play is on the field.
Yeah.
And I think if you pair him with a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, he's going to get the best out of his receivers. He's like Aaron Rodgers in that way.
Yeah, him and Rice on the same field would be kind of
Exactly. That's a perfect 1 and 2. And the receiver position is a position that as a whole,
Yep.
not just with Tyreek, I'm talking even with Tyreek Hill, as a whole, the wide receiver spot with the Chiefs has been a weak spot on that
Relatively.
offense, relatively speaking. Yes, because Mahomes gets the best out of his guys. But if Rasheed Rice were to be on a different team this past season,
Yeah.
I think he sees the field maybe 6 games.
Quinn
If that-
Johnston. He's Quinn Johnston level.
Exactly. So put Quentin Johnson on the Chiefs. Quentin Johnston's probably
I'm not
catching
gonna lie.
like
Probably
10
a borderline
touchdowns.
He would be
Pro Bowler.
insane.
Exactly.
He'd be a Pro Bowler.
So this pick right here, I don't think anyone's going to jump on Xavier Worthy too early in the first, but the Chiefs having the 32nd overall pick, the very last pick of day one, could get this guy what he just earned, and that is a late day one, early day two pick.
I'll tell you.
Like drafting. Sorry, go ahead.
I'll tell you who really caught my attention is Dallas Turner ran a 4.46. A lineman running that fast. That should never happen.
That's definitely
That
going to
is-
shoot him up for
That
sure.
is like terrifying, and he's just great overall too. He had his split was like a 1.54, and his vertical he had the best vertical, best dash. His vertical is 40.50, and
Chop Robinson at a 4.48 too.
Chop Robinson was good too. I was just gonna say that these linemen, these DNs are great. Like these edge rushers, this is a very good drafted DN. So that's one thing I noticed very much.
And Xavier Worthy, just for his 3 years at Texas in 39 games played, 27.55 for yards, 26 touchdowns, but 12 came in his first year, 21 in his first 2 years. He only had 5 touchdowns this past year, 1,049 yards from scrimmage this year for Xavier Worthy. I mean, this guy was still going to be up there. I don't think he would have been any earlier than day 3, though, just because of how top-heavy the receiver class is this year. And his name was going to slide down the boards a little bit. But Xavier Worthy, definitely up there in terms of late day 1 picks, maybe even early day 2. I think the Chiefs that's a shoe-in for him. Is he's now going to get rewarded for his combine performance and get to go play with Patrick Mahomes.
I can definitely see that happen.
What did you guys think about that Isaac Garendo?
That was the guy that I was going to bring up.
What did you guys think about him? Because he had a pretty good outing.
I've always been an Isaac Garendo believer.
He's a big dude.
He is a very big dude. He played at Wisconsin for many years. 6 foot 220 is what he's listed at. But yeah, he played at Wisconsin, didn't become a starter until 2022 when he was kind of doing the tandem backfield with Braylon Allen,
Yeah.
but was very good as a receiving back, both in his final year at Wisconsin and his 1 year now, his extra fifth year at Louisville this past year. 810 rushing yards, 234 receiving yards, had 11 touchdowns on the ground, by far his most in a season, nearly doubling his 6 that he had in 2022. And then Guerrero goes out and proves he's an athlete.
Yep.
He had a 99 athleticism score, which is first among running backs. 20th production score at 64, which is 20th among running backs, like I just said. And top 10 in running backs at total score, just period. 20-yard shuttle was 415, nearly 11-foot broad jump, 41.5 vert, 4.3 340. And Guerrero was someone at Wisconsin who was never truly known for his speed. He was known for being kind of a smaller bruiser back out of the backfield. And I mean, he was kind of a bruiser, but he didn't put on the weight really until this past year at Louisville. And that's what made him so much more productive, and especially getting those reps there as well, where he was finally able to be the true RB1 of a team. Isaac Guerrero just went from a guy who probably wasn't going to get drafted to, after his season, he might be 5th round pick, 6th round pick if he's lucky.
I think he's a top 15 running back in the draft.
He just went to the second round.
he's
Yeah.
definitely
Guerrero just went to
agree.
the second round.
Yeah.
Easily. I mean, when you got a guy who's defined as a bruising back and had a tremendous season like that at Louisville and then goes and runs a 4.3, that's absurd. And he's definitely someone, like I said, and that's what I really appreciate about the Combine is you have these guys that you really wouldn't expect to get drafted or be a late day 3, day 4, whatever, et cetera. But then when they show out at the Combine, guys like Worthy, Guerrero, who we were just talking about, this is their chance to prove to the world and NFL GMs that we belong in the NFL, and they show off these freak characteristics. One guy I wanted to highlight in terms of that was future Tennessee Titan Joe Alt. At 6'8", 325 pounds, he ran a 5.05 40-yard dash and had the 6th highest three-cone drill by all offensive linemen in Combine history. And he's going to be the best. He's the best offensive tackle in the draft, and he absolutely blew me away this past week. And I'm excited to see him in two-tone blue.
What do they got? 7?
Yeah, 7.
7th pick?
There's only 2 teams that have speculated taking Alt, and it's the Chargers and the Titans. And I will be happy with Alt at 7 or Bowers at 7.
Man,
and I think we're
Alt.
going to take whoever the Chargers don't.
He
at
has
5.
to be. He has to be the first offensive lineman.
He will be.
He has to be.
Hands down the best. I mean, a guy that big should not be able to move that quick nor be nearly as talented on his feet.
I
as
want
he
Bowers,
is.
but if we get Alt, I won't complain because we have Slater and then Alt on the other side. That would be beautiful.
And you're not giving him his flowers. You said he was 6'8". He's 6'9".
He's 6'9",
That's a
yeah.
big dude, and he's a tall 6'9".
Yeah.
He's insane. And like I said, just a guy that big should not be able to move that fast.
Like
A 5
6'9" is
second
not
40
tall
is-
enough. But
Now, don't
Right.
don't sleep on this guy either at offensive line as well. He had a ridiculous combine, 9'3" broad jump. He's compared to Taylor Decker, that's his pro comp as of right now. 32-inch vertical, 5'13" for a guy who's 6'6", 324, and ranked 11th in athleticism among all linemen, 4th in production,
Georgia?
6th in total score from Oregon State. Talise Fuaga.
Yes, sir.
yeah, he had a
Oregon
pretty
State.
good.
Talise Fuaga just went to the top 10, I'd say.
Yeah.
And considering that Joe Alt might even go higher than the Chargers now,
Yeah, no.
they might go Arizona,
Might go Arizona.
New England
I wouldn't
even.
mind that either.
Or if Washington is smart, they will take Joe Alt second and ride with Sam Howell.
Yep.
I would
If
not
they
be
are
opposed to
smart,
that.
they are not going to set themselves back another year by drafting another quarterback who's capable of starting, and they will take Joe Alt in the first at number 2.
That would be
Take
insane.
Joe Alt to protect Kirk Cousins.
The return.
Hot take.
The return. Another guy I just wanted to highlight real quick before we move into our final topic. Michael Penix Jr. probably just put himself back in the first.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And I was on the thought process of when he went to the Senior Bowl, I was thinking he could only help his draft stock. Because this is a guy that was supposed to go top 5 at the end of the season after the national championship, even
go
after
top
losing to
10.
Michigan. Would have gone above Jaden Daniels. Probably would have gone above J.J. McCarthy. I still don't think he goes above J.J. McCarthy anymore. But Michael Penix had a terrific And I mean terrific combine.
I mean,
was
those
quite
deep
good.
balls, dude.
They were
Oh
easy
my
too.
Just
God.
Like, they were
yes, just
beautiful.
flawless.
Bro, he looked like the dark-skinned Justin Herbert.
He
Looked like Tua
I mean, he was
Tagovailoa. Is
launching
what
that thing.
he looked like. Tua before the NFL is what
Yeah.
he looked like.
Yeah. With
And
the
I
arm.
think he's a little more mobile than Tua too.
He's like a Cam Newton kind of build too.
Yeah. He's only 6'2", but he's got
huge,
that build.
though, yeah.
He's a big dude. He's got a great arm, 10.5-inch hand span, so he's not going to have any problems holding
yeah,
on
that's
to the ball.
nuts, by the way.
Michael
People don't
Penix.
understand that.
Michael Penix. I'm looking at this mock draft from CBS Sports, and they have Penix going at number 16 now as one of 6 quarterbacks to go in the first.
I think it's
behind
ridiculous.
Williams, Daniels, what's his
McCarthy.
face? McCarthy, Bo Nix, and
Love Bo
there was
Nix.
one more.
This
He had
class is
Bo
so
Nix
overrated.
apparently said that
Drake May. Drake May. They had
I
Drake May
just
falling
seen
to
that
8.
Bo Nix had threw the best ball at the draft. I seen earlier.
That's
He had
what
like
they
a
were
grade
saying.
A.
Yeah, it was not bad. I didn't get to watch it personally, so I can't comment on it. But I did see that grade.
And I've never been a true Bo Nix believer either.
Why? I don't understand that. He's
I
so good.
never have. I just
He's
never
so
been a
good.
I
believer.
don't believe
All
any
Oregon
quarterback
I don't
in
like
this
recently
the
have been
I don't like
amazing.
the eye test with Bo Nix, to be honest. I know that's kind of a boomer take, but I just don't really. He doesn't pass my eye test.
I had the same eye test with Justin Herbert, though.
Oh, stop it.
Oh, get out of here with
Cut it
that.
Jeez.
Going
Every-
you and
everyone
your
says
Oregon
that.
quarterback.
Everyone says that about an Oregon quarterback. It always comes back.
He proved me wrong.
Man,
Joe
I wish
Milton.
I could pull out the receipts, dude. I was high on Justin Herbert coming out.
Me too.
I was actually serious.
I was like genuinely like
man,
begging
this guy
the Chargers.
can play. Yeah, like wow, and he's a big dude. Too.
yeah.
Let's go final topic here.
Joe Milton.
And this is a segment that we've done in the past, and it's worked very well. It's gone over very well. I kind of wish we'd had a little more time for it, but we've had some great conversation today, so I'm not all too hurt about it. This is better or worse, and I put together a list of some quarterbacks, both past and present, and future one. There is one future one. And we're going to talk about whether or not these guys are better than Kirk Cousins, right? So the first time we did this was about Hines Ward, and I know I had some very electric takes about Hines Ward and certain players, both past and present, back in fall of 2022. If you want to, you can go scroll through the UWWTV YouTube archives and go find that episode. There are some electric takes. You just asked Drew Best, Nolan Kopodlowski. They were on that show with me that day. But we're going to talk about Kirk Cousins today. Everyone knows Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is, I'd say, a fairly underrated quarterback in today's NFL.
Relatively.
Always, yeah, it depends on who you're asking. But he always puts together great statistical seasons, just can never get over the hump. And his hump is the first round of the playoffs. And we've seen that with the Minnesota Vikings year in and year out. They honestly should have just kept rolling with Case Keenum, but that's just my take. First things first, this should be a fairly obvious selection here, but better or worse than Kirk Cousins? Aaron Rodgers.
Well,
I mean, you're right. Aaron Rodgers. I mean,
Aaron Rodgers is leap year better.
Aaron Rodgers. There's
I think close.
there might be 3 to 5 ever who are better than that guy. So
are we defining this question
Oh my
as
gosh.
Aaron Rodgers right now? Like, who are we taking next season?
I'm taking Aaron Rodgers.
Bro, I'm
Either
taking
way.
Aaron Rodgers.
Take it however you want.
If I want a starting quarterback next season, I want Kirk Cousins over Aaron Rodgers.
This is where the case is to be made. This is where the case is to be made.
I want Kirk Cousins to be my starting quarterback next year.
Look at that booth
between
over there,
him
brother.
and Aaron Rodgers.
The fishbowl is going wild right now. Guys, what? So is Brendan tweaking right now?
Yes, I
am not. This
I don't know
Kirk
What
Cousins,
are you eating at night?
Bro, they're coming
bro?
off the same injury.
What did
What
you
do they
drink?
put in the water in the
What
dorms
is going
these days?
on? No, I would never in my life take Kirk Cousins over Aaron. No, I don't care
This
what.
is not an all-time argument. This
no,
is
I know. I
strictly
don't
who
care what
want to be my
predicament they're
starting
in.
quarterback next season. Give me Kirk Cousins.
They both
Aaron
have the
Rodgers.
same injury. Both have Achilles injuries. One's on a new team with a very good roster still. I'm taking Aaron Rodgers all day, and we don't even know where Kirk's gonna end up.
You
at,
put Aaron Rodgers on the Vikings. That would be the most
Oh, my
explosive
goodness.
offense in the league.
That would be nuts. That would be
Aaron
nuts.
Rodgers and JJ.
But
Justin
Jefferson,
Jefferson, Jordan Addison,
now he got T.J. Hawkinson.
Allen
Oh
Hawkinson.
my goodness! no,
God.
I'm taking
I
Aaron
mean,
Rodgers.
the
Not
Minnesota
even close.
Vikings.
Remember,
make a
they
run
ain't even
this
signed
year
a
if
back
Kirk Cousins
yet.
doesn't get injured.
So
I'm
if Kirk
telling
Cousins
you.
on the Jets, you think they're
see,
gonna make playoffs?
You know what?
No,
I'm gonna say
that's
this,
fine.
man. Dude, that Kirk Cousins Vikings team, tell me that they're not the Dallas Cowboys. in every aspect.
Well, they don't have expectation though.
Take the expectation out. Tell me that's not the same team.
I don't know about that.
Their defense isn't nowhere near the Dallas
Yeah, their
Cowboys.
defense
Kirk
is nothing
Cousins
like
is
that.
But they do
often
the same thing.
overshadowed.
They do the same stuff, but like,
Yeah, but
nothing like Dallas defense.
but skill wise and like ranking player wise, they're not.
Their coaching is pretty much the same. I would give them that.
Yeah, not at.
Bro, there's no way you're sitting here telling us that you think
Next
that you'd
season-
rather take him next year.
No.
Rodgers is coming
Okay,
off.
well, give
Rodgers
us-
is about to turn 40 years old, coming off an Achilles tear. I know that Kirk's coming
Like, I
off
would've
the
took a
same
Tom
injury.
Brady at 40.
turning
Pushing
35?
35 or something like that, is he not?
I'm telling you, next season, Kirk Cousins will finish better statistically than Aaron Rodgers,
Oh, no,
barring
that's
that both
good.
of them play all 17
Kirk
games.
Cousins is 35
I hope he in the
Off of
Talkington's chat.
off of a Achilles tear, and he's
And
not, he's not as mobile
Kirk
as
Cousins
Aaron
will
Rodgers
be,
either.
With
in
what
my
team?
opinion, he's going to go to Atlanta. That's where I think he's going to go. I don't think Fields is going to go there. I think if Fields goes anywhere, he should stay in Chicago. I think Fields goes to
He's
Pittsburgh.
leaving.
If Kirk goes to Atlanta, between Aaron Rodgers with the Jets this year and Kirk in Atlanta, Kirk will put up more passing touchdowns and more passing yards than Aaron Rodgers.
The only
based
thing-
off those statistics alone, and you can even make the case that they finished with a better record, considering how weak the NFC South is.
The only thing
You know that
Kirk
Aaron
Cousins is
Rodgers
going to
is
have
on the-
more of than Aaron Rodgers is time sacked if he goes to Atlanta. He's not going to be able to throw the football, brother.
And like the Jets can protect Rodgers any better. I mean, we saw that 3 games into the season this past year.
We know they're going to
Three
make
plays into
moves
the
though
season.
for him though. They're going to make as many moves possible to make sure he's protected. Like,
Yeah.
Now after that injury, there's no way
Well,
they're going to
I mean,
allow that.
If you look at
He
it, it was
didn't
just a
get protected
crazy
because he got
injury. It just
sacked.
happened. He
Yeah,
just got
yeah.
sacked.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, he was going to get
Brendan's
sacked at some point during the
defense,
game.
Kirk Cousins has had a higher completion percentage and just about the same average yards per attempt and more yards per game in his career.
It's because Rodgers.
Then
throws
Rodgers.
it
And then
all
what's
the
his
time.
touchdown interception ratio?
Yeah,
how
what's-
many times has he surpassed
Touchdown.
how
So
many
it's
times has he
obviously
surpassed
touchdown to
over 100
interception
QBR
ratio. Yeah, Rodgers at like 4.7
In their last,
to 1.
like, let's talk about
In
their
their
last,
last
Kirk goes at like
in their last 2
2.6
full
to 1.
seasons, Kirk had a better touchdown interception ratio. If we're looking at the 2022 statistics, Aaron Rodgers had 8 fourth quarter game winning comeback drive. No, wait, that was Kirk Cousins. He was 4th in the league in passing yards, and this was based off 2022, but prior to last season.
I was actually going to bring that up. 2022.
8
Blast
fourth quarter
was
game winning comeback
very
drive.
good.
Pure
He is
blasphemy.
severely underrated as a
Kirk
quarterback.
Cousins
Won MVP that year.
2022
No one's
and
saying Kirk
2020.
Cousins is bad.
I want to say he received MVP votes in 2020, and if he did not, he should have. 35 touchdowns to 13 interceptions with 4,260 yards, 266 per game. I mean, his touchdown to interception ratio was almost 3 to 1.
I mean, are we forgetting that Aaron Rodgers won MVP back-to-back?
So
years
let
before
me
that
say
year,
this.
though?
Let me say
Like,
this.
he was
They
still,
did.
he
Aaron
was still
Rodgers
going crazy that entire year without Devontae Adams.
Put Kirk Cousins on that team where they get 8 wins, barely missed the playoffs. Do they even come close to the playoffs with Kirk Cousins on that team?
No.
I severely disagree. I'm sorry.
The Packers' offensive line was very good that year. The offensive line makes the offense.
Yeah.
I just, in my humble opinion, I think Kirk Cousins is undoubtedly a top 5
So
quarterback.
we're going to...
Top 5?
All
right,
whoa.
five?
We got 7 minutes and 11 seconds to talk about this.
Top 5?
This is a completely
Forget the
different
other.
conversation.
Forget
Top
the other players.
five.
So
Get the other players.
the other
bro.
players here. The other players.
Well, you
just,
already know
just
my
for
opinion
reference.
based on
Just for reference here, the other players. I mean, does anyone think Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Kirk?
No.
No.
You can't tell me any of these other guys.
Nobody else on
Romo?
that list is.
Tony Romo.
No.
No.
Matthew Stafford.
Yes.
Yes, Matthew Stafford.
Yes.
Matthew Stafford's
Okay.
bad.
Absolutely.
And then
yes.
do we
Oh
think-
my God, yes.
Do we think J.J. McCarthy?
No.
Okay.
I'm-
Matt Stafford is better
Matthew
than-
Stafford
We have to
is
focus
the better
on
quarterback
what
than
just
Kirk.
was said.
But,
2 feet
okay.
to my left.
Holy cow,
Top
Brendan.
5 quarterback. What's
Name
the
me your
Top
top
five
5
right
quarterbacks.
now?
Name your top 5 quarterbacks.
Okay, but
1
is
to
he like
5.
5? Is he at least 5?
What? He's number 5.
Okay,
Who's-
thank you.
who's
one to
That
five?
makes it a little more justified.
No, it doesn't. I need to hear 1 to 5 right
on
now.
On any given Sunday, fringe top 7, top 8. But especially in that 2022 season, which I'm basing off, which is his last full season, he was a top 5 quarterback that year.
Who's your top 5?
Brother,
quarterbacks
you
right
just said he's a top 5 quarterback. Name me 1 through 5 right
Yeah,
now.
go 1 through 5.
Yeah.
Starting with 1.
now? Obviously, we know
Mahomes.
Mahomes. Yeah, okay,
All right,
clear.
All right, clear.
2.
Josh Allen probably as well.
I can see that. I can see it.
Let me pull up this past season statistics.
I mean, Kirk Cousins in 2022, 4th in yards,
I would take Lamar.
5th in touchdowns.
Okay. I can see
4.
that.
In completion percentage, he was 15th. He was middle of the road.
No one in the AFC South. We already named Mahomes in the AFC
Passer
West.
rating was
Already
14th,
named
though.
Lamar.
QBR
I would take Kirk
was
over Burrow.
22nd.
You taking
Oh,
Burrow is a yak merchant. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Burrow is a yards after catch merchant.
No way you just said that.
my God! What?
You guys can flame me all you
Bro,
want.
you got to start playing some.
Wait.
You're
You're taking Kirk Cousins over Joe Burrow, the guy who's been
Joe
to more
Burrow.
Super Bowls than this guy.
Joe
ever.
Burrow is a yards after catch merchant.
I'm
and
taking-
a product of the system. in
What is Brock
Cincinnati.
Purdy? Oh, okay, yeah. What's Brock Purdy then?
Brock Purdy's the perfect fit for a San Francisco 49ers system.
Anyone's a good fit for the 49ers, though.
Exactly. I mean, I'm
Anyone-
not denying that they wouldn't get better with a different quarterback. I never said
Dude,
that.
I'll go as far as say I could probably name 10 quarterbacks right now better than Kirk Cousins.
But if you want, throw Burrow in there. That's a fringe guy.
Okay, so
look
that
at
would-
the NFC East. No one in the NFC East. NFC North.
Herbert
No,
and
no one
Herbert
right
and Burrow are 100%. Wait, what did he say?
No one in the NFC North?
Have you heard of
Have you
Jordan
watched
Love?
Jordan Love play a football game?
Jared
Have
Goff
you
might
watched
be better.
Jordan Love?
Jared Goff and him might be on the same
close.
level.
Yeah, bro.
Didn't Justin Fields beat the Vikings in Minnesota?
Outplayed him. by
Dude,
the
he
way.
might be the worst quarterback in the division, to be
Have
honest
you
with
watched Jordan Love play football?
That second half was truly special. But if we're talking about
Oh
right
my
now,
God.
Right
for
now.
one season,
He said nobody
Right
in the
now.
AFC South either. So he said Trevor Lawrence
Trevor
and,
Lawrence.
and
Trevor
CJ
Lawrence.
Stroud.
I'll give him
Lawrence is
Trevor.
not better than
Lawrence
Kirk
is
Cousins.
Trevor
Lawrence is
Stroud, though?
Trevor Lawrence over
CJ Stroud's better.
Yeah, I'll give
100%.
him Trev. I'll give him Trev.
Yeah.
But CJ Stroud.
You said
No
no,
one in the
CJ.
NFC
You
South.
say
CJ
he's
Stroud
better
was
than CJ
arguably
Stroud.
top two, not two this
Kirk's
year.
not better than Herbert.
Foley-
He's not better than Burrow.
He just took the worst team in football last year to the
Lamar?
playoffs.
I said Lamar.
Oh, okay,
I had
okay,
Lamar in my
okay.
top five.
Okay.
I had Josh.
Good call.
I named Allen Mahomes, Lamar. And then I'm looking at the NFC now, and I probably, you got fringe Jordan Love. I already said fringe.
Please don't say
Joe
Jalen
Burrow.
Hurts.
No, definitely not Jalen
Him and
Hurts.
Dak are in the same.
Yeah, right
I would
now.
take Dak
right
over.
now,
I'd take
looking
Dak,
at just
but-
like strictly last season, if I had to take a quarterback, Kurt's probably 6.
Okay, what about Jalen Hurts? I know he had a bad year.
You say he's better than Jalen Hurts?
As of right now, yes.
No.
Jalen
No.
Hurts. No. Jalen. We saw in the second half of last season that Jalen Hurts.
What about the season before?
We're talking specifically.
Went to the
figured it
Super
out.
Bowl.
He
They
outplayed
figured it
Kirk
out.
in every aspect in the 2 years before.
Jalen Hurts and I'm not putting it all on Hurts though. I believe it's mainly a coaching issue. I don't think Sirianni's the right guy there
Wait, you think Kirk Cousins is better than Justin Herbert?
right now. Yes.
Can we end this a little early?
In
That's
what? Okay.
a
In
crap
what
of
world?
crap,
In what world is he
Hey,
better than Justin Herbert? I want you to answer that.
Fringe
What?
top 10.
In what?
Number 9, number 10.
What?
I'm sorry,
I thought you asked
Brendan.
where you
Kirk
had
Cousins
Lamar.
is better
I
than Deshaun
can't.
Watson.
What? Like
can't
what,
agree with
What
that.
is Kirk better at than Herbert? Like right now, his throwing power, no. His accuracy, no.
The ability to win football games.
He had Brandon Staley at coach, the worst coach in football, arguably. I mean, like, and all his wide receivers are injured.
Remember,
he had
he
no one
went
to
to the
protect
playoffs
him.
I don't
last
know.
And
I
he-
mean,
and he
like,
still-
last couple games, Dougie P is up there right now.
Yeah. So I mean,
nothing.
you know what?
Nothing you can say is going to change my mind.
You know
on
who's
that,
better than
because-
Kirk Cousins? Geno Smith.
oh Jesus.
No, all right, now. See, now
that's
you
that's
ask-
a little far. That's a little far.
That's
But-
kind of a reach.
Jesus.
Look, you.
I'll give him Geno Smith is not as good as Kirk Cousins. I'll give
So you know,
Geno
I
Smith
just
top
wanted to hear what
10?
you guys were going to say. I
Where
just
do you guys? Where do you guys
kidding. I
personally
saw
have
the name.
Kirk ranked? Because
take
like
a-
right now, like I say, I have him around 6, 7.
I got him right maybe
Dude, he's like 12,
12,
13.
13.
Healthy
15.
Kyler Murray. Healthy
Kyler Murray wasn't healthy last year.
Healthy.
Kyler Murray fully healthy, I would rank above Kirk. But
healthy
I'm
Kyler
more
Murray.
clouded by last
Deshaun
season's
Watson.
bias and coming back from
Healthy
injury.
Kyler
Deshaun
Murray is
Watson will
better.
never return back to the form that he was
I
in
disagree
before.
with that. He'll have a great year next year. He has to have a great year next
Well,
year.
yeah, we
He
say that
kinda
he has to.
He has to have one next
Wait, so you said Kyler Murr's better than Kirk Cousins?
100%.
Do you think
Healthy?
Tua,
I'm
do you
letting
think
last
Tua is over
season's-
Kirk?
No,
No.
no. I don't
Why,
think
though?
So,
I'm just
that means
asking.
he's not
I'm not
like,
saying he
so
is.
he's saying that if he said Kyler Murray is better than Kirk, then that's Kirk
Fully
Cousins
healthy,
is not top
fully
5.
Well, I know. I said
I said
Kyler
Just from
Murray.
last
I changed
year?
what I said. So following looking at all the teams, I said 6, 7.
Yeah.
Just from
And then
last
based on
year,
specific weeks.
I take in no specific order: Mahomes, Love, Stroud, Goff, Tua, Prescott, Allen,
You take
probably
Tua.
Stafford, Baker, even like.
No,
Baker's
that's
close.
not. That's not.
Baker's
even
That's
close.
not a bad. That's not a bad take. I
Bro,
like that.
Baker.
I
threw-
like
what
that.
did he
Take
have? He had
Baker.
like 28 and 13 this year.
Yeah, it was nice. He was nice.
Great season. He
He's
had a
nice.
really good season.
All right. but
Tua doesn't suck.
he doesn't suck. But he's not
Tua's
better
not
than
bad
Kirk.
by any means.
I
by
don't
any
think
stretch
he's.
of the
I don't think he's
imagination.
better than Kirk.
I feel like if you throw Kirk on Miami, they're better.
Yeah.
Nah,
Oh, no.
I don't know about better, but they're pretty much the same. I don't know.
Maybe really.
They're
So,
probably
where,
about the
so
same.
where do you guys each have Kirk ranked?
Like
in
maybe
your top 10?
15.
dude, I've got him. I've got him
15.
12 to
That's
13,
wrong.
respectfully.
I don't
like,
know if
That's respectful.
He might be 10 or 11. I don't know.
Maybe 13.
I don't know if he's not top.
Let me just go off
Not
the
even
dome.
close.
He's not top 10 for me.
Mahomes. Let's go. Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow, Allen.
He said he's better than Burrow.
Yak Merchant.
My gosh, Jordan
Is
Love,
Brock Purdy better than Kirk?
Jared Goff,
Okay, good. Okay.
Tua,
As long as we're on the same
Stafford.
He was not part of that
Herbert.
debate.
Like
So he's
that's
better.
just off the dome
he's
right
better
now.
than
We got to
Steve
wrap
Stroud.
things up here on 9170 Edge.
He's
My
better
oh
than
my,
CJ
that was a
Stroud.
final segment. One of the final
4v1.
segments of all time. Brendan, I'm sorry, but
Dude, I wanna
like
be
Kirk as
with
much
you,
as
bro.
the
Like,
next guy.
And you guys will not change my opinion on this.
I
better
like
than
Kirk
Joe
as
Cousins
much
and the
as
Atlanta
next guy,
Falcons win the
dude.
NFC South next year. We'll remember this
Hurts,
talk.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, they might win, but it might be like 8 and 9.
I need to go sit down for a little bit, and somewhere that's not in this chair. 9170 Edge, WSEW Whitewater. Thanks for tuning in to Hog Talk here, Monday show with Sam Strash, Nick Demos, Brendan Donlevy,
That's a hot
Azir
take.
Spencer, Jalen NB, Michael Vandershoot was going to be on the show today. Unfortunately, he was unable to come in. But we're going to take things back to the alternative hits here on the Edge. Thanks
That's
for
a hot
tuning in,
take.
everybody. We'll see you tomorrow, 5 o'clock, here on the Edge.